Hi guys, welcome to another video tutorial with me, Claris. In this video, we are going to be swatching the new set of watercolors by Paul Rubens. It is their 4th generation and supposed to be their highest quality of watercolors. So if you're looking for something a little more than student grade, check this video out. Before we actually begin, I want to remind you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as it really does help my channel grow and allows me to create more videos for you guys, because then it makes more time for me. So thanks guys for hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and now let's get right into swatching. So first of all, I want to take a moment to just really admire this really great, rich looking velvet finish that the box has. It is quite thin as well, not your typical thickness for a box of colors, at least from my experience. When you open it, this is what's there. We've got a little booklet and all the names are in Chinese, so I can't quite tell what it is. This seems to be the one down side to Paul Rubens. Every time I use them or any of the colors, I get them. Brilliant colors. Really like their product, but I can't quite tell the names. But they do have numbers. They've got codes, which are a mixture of letters and numbers. So maybe that's something we can reference online. Yeah, and this is the 4th generation Paul Rubens. So let's open this up and see what we have. Oh, so they're in tubes. Okay. So set of 36, and they're all in tubes. And let's get to doing a little bit of swatching. So here we go, we're ready to do that. But before we actually start, I just want to make mention of the fact that while this booklet doesn't seem to have the actual names of the colors in here, on the actual tubes themselves, they've got the names right there. So you've got the reference code, which you can reference in here, and then you've got the name in English over the bottom as well. So I guess that solves that issue right away. Okay, so let's get to doing a little bit of swatching. So I'm going to start off with doing the first row, which is the yellows all the way down to the red. And here we go. So starting off with the Naples yellow, that was the very first color. Get a little bit of that onto my palette. I might end up having to wash my palette and sort of come back and redo this, just because there's so many, 36 colors, got to do this quite a few times. So I'm going to zoom in as well, just so you can see this a tad better. I'm going to dampen my sheet, making sure my brush is clean. I'm going to dampen my sheet just a little bit over here. We're starting off with a rectangle at the top left hand corner. I'm getting some of this color right away, mixing whatever leftover color I had on my brush. I'm going to add that in here. And let's see what this color looks like. So on the actual tube itself, it looked to be a lot lighter, but on here it looks to be like a cadmium yellow, between that and a yellow ochre, I would say. I'm not going to speculate on every color. I'm just making mention of this just because it looked so much lighter on the actual tube itself in comparison to what I'm getting here. So a pretty yellow. Okay, let's move on to the lemon yellow and allow this to sort of dry up. Let's see what that looks like. I'm gonna get some, in fact, what I'm gonna do, instead of mixing some onto my palette, I'm just going to get it directly from here and add it on. Okay, so this is a bit of a brighter yellow. Quite a few selection of yellows happening over here, so this should be interesting. Next one is a cadmium yellow light. even see that because it's so light on this one here. Okay, so this is super bright in comparison to that. So I guess if you were looking for a bright yellow to offset some moody florals, this would be something nice to kind of give it pop, give it some pop. Let's move on to doing the cadmium yellow medium. So this seems to be a tad similar to the first one, but who knows? Let's just see what it actually looks like when we paint it onto our sheet here. So getting some color, just got a little bit on here. Oh, this is pretty. This is like a mango. This is a proper mango. Yeah, I like this one. Very, very pretty. Very bright as well. Not as bright as this one, but yeah. Now we've got Indian yellow. Washing my brush off. And then let's just do one more on this side before we move on. Oop, this has, it's coming out a little bit, so I'm just going to mix some on the palette. Oh, so pretty. This is a very pretty, almost like an orange creamsicle color. Gorgeous. Very pretty. Let's move on to the next one, and that is earth yellow. So dampening this area just a tad bit. And getting some of my earth yellow. And then adding it in here. Okay, so this is, again, not exactly the color at the top here, which is Naples yellow, but I'd say very, very close to it almost, with a little bit more of an orangey tone to it. And the next thing we are looking at is transparent yellow. Okay. This should be interesting. Oh, okay, so when they say it's transparent, this almost looks like, I want to say like a granulating color because it's got, you can see the bright yellow at the bottom, but the actual color itself that's hovering on the top seems to be more of like a darker, like yellow ochre or something like that. So that's interesting. I wonder if that's what the transparent is. Next we've got chromium orange hue. This is a beautiful yellow now that it's had some time to settle in the paper a little bit. Get some of this orange. Okay. Again, I feel like it's similar-ish to the one we have at the top. Not as pretty. Just my 2 cents. I love the richness of that one. This one seems to be a little more, I would say this is a little more transparent looking in comparison to this, which is like super opaque. You can see that. Next one, we've got transparent orange. Okay, so here we go. Maybe talking about being transparent. Let's see if this has any of its predecessor's qualities. Getting some of that color from there. Just going to add it in here. Really rubbing it into the paper to allow that like beautiful, pretty blend. So this is by no means transparent. You saw how much I got on my brush, and you also saw that I dampened my sheet first. So in comparison to this, this is a nice bright orange, like a nice warm bright orange. Very, very pretty again. I think this would be a favorite for some nice bright florals. Just very pretty. And the next one we've got is a cadmium red light. Let's do this. See what... Oh, very rich. Very red. Very pretty. So I can see these two colors sort of blending in quite nicely. I think I might have to do a video to sort of show what colors I would team together, because I love the selection thus far, but there's just so much choice, but I think it could be overwhelming for some of you. Okay, so the next color we've got is burnt sienna. Okay, so it's here already, burnt sienna. It's not with the browns, it's right here. Get some of that color directly from here. Okay, very rich as per what it's meant to be. Can we get it to be more opaque? Not super like some of the colors we have above, but it's got some. We're able to adjust the opacity for this one, it seems. Next one. Okay, pardon me if I am saying this the wrong way, but this is Pyrrole Ruby Red. Dampening. And this is probably going to be a really pretty red from past experiences with this color. Look at that. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is like super bright. I would definitely say like a little goes a long way with this color. Very similar to the brightness of that one at the top there. I should be writing names here, but 2, 3, so I can reference it as I'm chatting with you guys. So this one is the 1, 2, 3, 4, Indian yellow. Yeah, so like the Indian yellow, the Pyrrole red. Pyrrole, yeah, is super bright and nice. So the next one is going to be one of my favorites, I think, for sure. Yeah, like they go hand in hand. Because, and I'll tell you, because this is quinacridone rose, and I love the quin colors to begin with. Quinacridone rose, quinacridone purple, lilac, all of those seem super nice. Let me just mix a little bit on here to see if mixing it on a palette and then adding it makes it any less transparent. It does. And let's just see how this dries up, because look at this one, guys. Like when I first applied it, it looked very uneven. It's not fully dried yet, so we still gotta wait. But you could actually see the areas where I went dark versus the light. But now it's like this really smooth transition and it's dried off really well. Let's just see how this one dries off. Like it just looks like a block almost on my camera screen as I'm looking up right now. I can see, yeah, let's just wait for it to dry. Okay, next one is called Perylene Maroon. P-E-R-Y-L-E-N-E. Let's see what this is about. Okay, so it's like another red, never come across this color or the name before. A nice deep maroon for sure. Possibly a close to it would be like a Madder Lake red, I think. Very pretty, very, I think it would definitely be like a nice shadowy color if we're using for any of the previous two. Let's go on to the next one. The next one is Venetian Red. And I'm just so curious to see how all these reds look because, you know, red creates pink. And I love pink. So, or I should say I love red. And pink seems to be my gravitational color, choice of color. Oop, got a lot on here, so I'm just going to mix it on here. Now this seems to be a tad bit more browny looking as I'm mixing it on here. But very, guys, very rich. The richness of this color, mixing these pigments, almost reminds me of the GUCAI, Paul Rubens GUCAI set of colors that I swatched a while back, and I'm going to list that on here, so just check for the link. So you, if you want to reference that video after, you can totally do that. This is like a brick red, beautiful rich color. Didn't quite get a lot of transition in there, but that's probably because I had a lot of color on my brush. So perhaps if I took some time to sit there and really water it down and not use as much, it would probably be lighter. So that's Indian Red. The next thing we're doing is called Quinacridone Maroon. Sounds good to me. I'm going to take some from here because this one's behaving itself and not overflowing like some of the others. Oh guys, this is beautiful. Love this pinkish red. Very, very pretty. I can imagine like a hibiscus sort of feeling to this. Flower, rather, not feeling. And that's that. Let's move on to the next one. Another quinacridone. This one is Quinacridone Violet. So I'm about halfway done swatching in terms of how many colors have I gone through. And I have to say, like, almost every color is very, very, very opaque in nature. Here's the violet. Now these, the choice of colors on here also remind me of the colors that I've been using in my new series, Watercolor Beginner series on here on YouTube. And we've been using the mailing set of watercolors, which are like student grade, and again, kind of a branch of Paul Rubens. But these would be on par with the color tones that the mailing has for sure. Okay, so that was Quinacridone Violet. Got some nice, look at that beautiful, like it's the pink background that it's drying up into. Look at this, like it's just a flat color, almost looks like a gouache, kind of similar to that Indian yellow at the top. So let's move on to doing the next color. So now we're jumping from the reds, bang, right into our turquoise. So I hope y'all are ready for this. Turquoise is also one of my favorites. Okay, I got some yellow on here. Probably not the best idea to use. So getting some of that turquoise, dampen that area already. Here we go. Gorgeous. I mean, there's nothing to hate about turquoise. It's such a pretty color. Reminds me of beaches, reminds me of Maui, Hawaii. And just immediately it is like a soul uplifting color to gaze upon. Blue skies, blue waters, that sort of thing. Okay, next color, translucent turquoise. Okay, so we have moved away from transparent and we are now into translucent. I got a little bit of that, oh, got a little bit of orange in there. How did that happen? Okay, so I'm going to try and skirt my way around to the orange. Just do it up to here. Okay, so this is like a deep turquoise. Very pretty. Like, I remember seeing the ocean this color with a little bit of that. So these two colors would go beautifully together for sky or water. Okay, so those are the two colors there. Now we're moving on to cobalt blue light. Making sure my brush is clean because that was a very potent opaque blue. Moving on to, just gotta make sure it's washed off properly, guys. Here we go. It's got a little bit of blue on here, but that's okay. And here's the cobalt blue. So what did I say? Cobalt blue light. So I'm wondering if there's another cobalt blue. There isn't. So I guess this could just be like your regular cobalt blue. I'm not sure why light. I was almost expecting like a regular one. But yeah, it looks pretty cobalt blue to me. Okay, next one we've got azure. Open that up, shift this up a little bit so I can get more room here. And I'm realizing my colors are a little bit slanted at this point. Yeah, they're a little bit out as slant, but that's okay. Okay, so this is gorgeous. Wow. Love this blue. Super pretty, super bright. And very, very well, like again, I think this would be another great sea color or color for the sea, water. Any water body or even the sky. For sure. Next one we've got is Berlin blue. Dampen my area. And here we go with the Berlin blue. Okay, so this I would say is sort of like an indigo-ish hue. All the blues are stunning, is my opinion so far. And I can see how you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of mixing to get the opacity of your liking or choosing or choice. I'm almost wondering like if some of these colors could work as well as gouache even, just because of the richness that they have happening for them. And I noticed I didn't mention the tube sizing in the beginning. It's 5 ml for anyone wondering. I'll mention it in the description as well because we're well into the video right now. Not expecting any of you to sit and watch or pay close attention to what I'm saying. And if you are, let me know in the comments if you actually heard this and were listening to every word. Prove me wrong. Okay, so this one is French blue. There we go. So this would almost seem, I would have put this in placement next to the cobalt blue, just because I feel like they're so similar in terms of looks, just this being a tad darker. But could this be like a French ultramarine? Let me know what you guys are thinking. Okay, so we've gone through the first 2 rows and now we've got the last row left. Swap out some water and get to trying our next color from the 3rd row, the first color in the 3rd row, which is a brilliant blue violet. So just going to quickly dampen this area dampening it a bit wider than the top color because we tried to skirt around that orange. Ooh, okay, so this is Brilliant Blue Violet. Okay, so this is the color that I'm always mixing with a pink or a red to get more of a reddish purple. So in any of my other palettes, this would be a violet. In the White Nights, which is my go-to most used watercolor, has this in a darker, more vibrant looking, yeah, it's just more vibrant and darker looking in White Nights, and it's called the Violet. Not the Violet, just Violet. Okay, next one is Dioxazine Violet. Okay, never heard of this name before. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, here we go. Here it is. This is very close to that, but super, so this is the color that I'm referring to when I say super dark and bright in White Nights. This is it right here, and it's called Violet. So I guess this set here by Paul Rubens has a lighter version of it and then a super dark, rich version of it, which I would use this for instances where I want to make a black, but I don't want it to be completely black. But like having a hint of purple is always nice, or having a hint of blue is always nice. So I would either use this or this to sort of mix and get my blacks with a slight bit of a fun tone in it, right? Okay, next color is Indanthrene Blue. Okay, this, if I'm not mistaken, is very, very similar to like a turquoise, but like a deep teal. Let's see if I'm right. Not really. This is more of a, oh my gosh, look at that bleed. Are you seeing that bleed? So pretty. This is what I love to see in watercolor. Just stunning. This is also why I think it is such a therapeutic medium to use. Just to watch that color migrate or just flow in the water is so cool. And it's even cooler when you're doing it and you're watching it happen. Like the satisfaction is next level. Okay, beautiful, beautiful blue. Reminds me of Van Gogh's Starry Night painting. Again, Indanthrone Blue. It's actually Indanthrone Blue. I'm not sure if that's a spelling mistake. I think I'm 90% sure that's a spelling mistake. Either way though, doesn't interfere with how it looks. Beautiful. Last but not least, for the blues, I've got Indigo. Let's try this. I can picture myself doing a whale tutorial and using that blue as well. Okay, this is Indigo. You're pretty standard. Oh, look at that. Look at that blend. Whoa. I want to see it happen on this side too. I've got some water pooling here, so that's why it's not going as well as it did for on this side. So this is another color I would mix to get my black if I don't want a solid, boring sort of black. Then we're moving on to our next color, which is May Green. It looks to be a super light color. Yeah, so it's okay, so it's not quite light green because I'm not a huge fan of the light green, but this green I kind of like. It's like a pretty light budding, reminds me of buds. I'd probably use this to paint some of the buds or tendrils even. Very pretty. I think sap green is the one I typically like to not use in its entirety. I'm always trying to mix it up with some brown or some other color to take away the sharpness of the green. So here we go. This is what sap green looks like. Okay, so I don't mind this one. I think combining these two would also, when I say combining, I don't mean mixing together, but I mean using a combination of the two of them to create a leaf or something like that might actually be a pretty effect. But then the thing about using light or bright colors in flowers, bright greens in flowers, typically in my mind translates to using darker, more brooding colors for my flowers, because you can't have everything popping out at you. Something needs to be a little muted to create a little bit of balance in the artwork. Okay, so this next color is Oriental Green. And then we've got 5 more colors before we are done. So Oriental Green, let's see what this looks like. Oh, so this is right away Emerald Green. That's what it would be in my books. Not bad. Again, Emerald Green I think is super pretty in clothing. Earrings, such a great pop. I kind of struggle with using it because of the same reason I mentioned using the brighter greens. It is a very nice pop of color. It kind of reminds me of a turquoisey sort of color. You kind of also see this green in the ocean, or at least I have. Just hints of it along with that turquoise. It's just beautiful. But you need to have it muted so that the flowers can stand out. Or I have seen versions where you can have both, but then it's a very bright, let's just start from here. It's a very bright composition altogether. But then, like I normally say, art is therapy. Better and oops than a what if. So olive green is what we're doing here. This olive green will never fail me. I just always love it because I feel like this is a good enough muted look for my leaves. It's always something that I gravitate to. So this seems to be, maybe it's because I put it down in a whole bunch of water, but this seems to be a little more lighter. But I have to say, like, a lot of this that's drying up, it's drying up quite nicely and smoothly. That turquoise there, gorgeous. Some of the reds, definitely the top Indian yellow that I was talking about. This violet is just to die for. I'm loving how this is drying up as well. So let's move on and continue our swatching. So this was sap green. And then the next one we've got is, this is olive green. We've got olive green dark. So this is where there's 2 different. Nice color. I would probably throw in a tad bit of brown. That's just me. I'm adding like a whole bunch of color directly from here, as you just saw me swipe it off the top. Let's just see what that looks like. I want to see how that dries off. Like, it's super rich, super nice. Now that I added extra color, I'm not even sure if I would mix it with any brown. It looks to be like my favorite, which is called green. It's just called green in White Nights. White Nights green is the only green that I've never really had to mix with anything because I just loved it as is. It doesn't need to do anything. Okay, let's dampen this. And this one is Cobalt Turquoise Dark. Very interesting name. Very intrigued to know what this looks like. Does it look like an emerald or what? I'll find out in a couple of seconds. Okay, so a darker green, rich, but a little muted in terms of vibrancy. Not sure if that makes any sense to some of you, but like this just pops. This is a little more muted in how it looks. I'm going to go do the last two. So this one is brown umber. So brown umber, yeah, yeah, so this kind of reminds me of, is it burnt sienna? I think it's, no. What is the super dark color? I thought it was burnt sienna, but it isn't. Nice brown for sure. Very impressed with the fact that they have not infiltrated this set with 5 browns and just a couple of bright colors, because I love my bright colors, so the more choice for me the better. So this is like the only brown, or maybe it's just the placement, because we've got a couple of brown reds at the top, right? So okay, so this last color, ivory black, and you all know how the black looks typically. Let's just add a bunch of black in here and see what that looks like. So the black is nice and rich. But here's all of it swatched. We've got a beautiful array of colors, some really nice rich tones, and some great reds and greens as well. I feel like the yellows are also nice and bright, but typically I use a lot of reds and greens, and then a little bit of blues in there, just because I'm such a, like, I gravitate to warm colors for some reason. Warm greens, warm reds, obviously reds are warm, and then obviously the turquoise, because the turquoise is such a nice pop against any of the reds or oranges. All right, so to recap, this was a video of me swatching very roughly the new set of Paul Rubens Artist Watercolors. This is their 4th generation. It is supposed to be the best watercolors that they carry in their current lineup. And it is a set of 36, and they come in tubes of 5 ml. A lovely variety of different yellows, reds, blues, and greens. So hope you guys like this video. If you're looking for this product, I've listed all the links below, so feel free to check it out. I've got links pretty much worldwide, so check it out and have your fill. And if you end up painting and you've purchased it through this video, I would love to see your work. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, just tag me, give me a heads up, let me know. Or just write in the comments and let me know, guys, what you thought about it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button. It really does help my channel grow, and I'm able to make more videos for you guys. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll chat soon. Bye.